All right, good morning. So I want to make a little intro disclaimer. It's 5 a.m. My usual waking time is between 5 and 6. This is my favorite time of day, beautiful, quiet. I mean, at this time of day, it's almost never hot unless there's some crazy mugginess in the air. And again, where I live, it's typically hot and dry. And I love the dry heat. If you've got arthritis, dry heat, that's your tip. But this video is going to be about two stereotypes that the Thais have about us and that we buy into as well because they're true. Anyways, they don't apply to everybody. I live in the Crawd area, and you could say in the heart of the Isan region, although I'm on the southern edge of it, or end of it, not the edge, but whatever. If you're easily triggered, maybe this isn't your video, And anyways, that's it. So with this beautiful view, on to the content. Today, I think I'd like to talk about revisit an old topic from way back on my channel. Something I discovered fairly early on. It's a little bit obvious in some ways, but all the ramifications of it are not so obvious, and it's certainly interesting to keep in the back of your mind as you wander around over here. And we'll start from the Thai perspective, since it's Thailand, and most of the people you're going to run into are Thai, obviously. They have, and it's true. There's a huge stereotype of foreign residents here. Guys like me, foreign resident retirees, to the Thai people, and that is that there's two of us. There's two kinds of us. There's two kinds of Falang, as they say. I guess that'd be Falang Song Yang, and the kind of the good and the bad. Good witch, bad witch, whatever. And the guys that actually live up to the negative stereotype outnumber guys like me and my friends and I'll describe how I feel I'm not one of the bad guys. I'll defend myself and my friends in a second. The negative stereotypical observers, to be polite about it, outnumber the guys that don't fall into that category. Oh gosh, it's way more than 10 to 1. It's bad. It's ugly. It's not good. You want to, certainly the first thing you want to have in your mind when you come here, people first see you, the first thing they're thinking, it's not a lot of good things. It's just, they're nice. They're nice. They're kind. The Thais are friendly. They're just extremely tolerant. I mean, almost tolerant to a fault of the many things I've seen foreigners do here that are really not very nice. They're really tolerant, but they're going to have their opinion about those things, obviously, and they're not going to like it, and they're going to assume, based on the overwhelming majority of their experience with foreigners, that you're just like the other guys. Here's a case in point right in my local village. I've blurred the guy's face out, although he was turned away from the camera. You can't see it anyways, but new resident in our town, and it's early in the morning. He had a huge bottle of beer. His wife was driving him around on their little motorcycle, and he's drinking that, and he was visibly impaired, and the other Thais were all kind of looking on this, and this just makes the rest of us look bad. So you've got the first negative stereotype from the Thai perspective is that we tend to be like alcoholics, and I hate to say this, it's kind of weird to say, but you're kind of like sex maniacs, kind of the low class behavior, the public drunkenness, not bathing regularly, not shaving, not getting a haircut on any kind of regular basis, unwashed clothes. I mean, this sounds like I feel like this is going to sound like I'm making this up, but if you go to some of the tourist areas, you look around and you go, oh, wow, Rob wasn't kidding. And this is what the Thais see. And I'll tell you, like when I'm out with, in a group, which is overwhelmingly Thai, I see foreigners so little here for lots of other reasons, which I think we'll touch on today. But I'm out with a group of, whatever, half a dozen-ish, whatever people, and I'm almost always the only non-Thai person around. Where I live, I'm relatively remote. We'll see a Westerner somewhere, and to me, I find it kind of embarrassing because they're they're living up to that stereotype. I mean, one of the last time, this is going to sound weird, but this is what happened. I'm just going to tell you what happened as an example of the kind of stuff that goes on here. Fawn says, hey, there's one lady, she's bringing her foreign husband. Maybe there'll be someone for you to speak a little English with today or something. I say, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, and I was like, I was kind of past at this point. I was like, I'm way past caring. I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. The guy wants to talk, that's fine. And I never ended up having one word with the guy. He was at the other end of this big area around this outdoor restaurant, and as soon as he got out of the car, I had no interest in speaking with him. I'm just sorry to say, but and I don't know why somebody would do this, but he was a guy, a male. He wasn't like transgender or anything that he showed in any way, but he had pulled his T-shirt up to expose his midriff and make his T-shirt almost like a bra or something, and he walked out of the car like that, and he was obviously drunk, and this was the morning, and he was visibly drunk, and I was like, oh God, I'm not going to go on from there, but I mean, gee whiz, I mean, who does that? But that's not like super rare behavior here. I've got foreign friends here, and I was just chatting with a friend over lunch the other day, and he's getting a loan to buy a really expensive motorcycle, and he just finished building a really nice house, and we're fixing it all up or whatever, and he's just normal life, acting like a normal person, the same as we were in Chicago or Dallas or anywhere else, but a lot of people come here and man, they can't handle it. So you get this negative stereotype of the guys like, I don't know what that bare midriff thing. That was so weird. That was like I was uncomfortable. I kind of wanted to leave. I was uncomfortable being around the guy. It just seemed like he really was way out of his mind. But anyway, then you get this other stereotype. Let's get some good news. You get this other stereotype where they're the guys that and this is going to sound self-aggrandizing, but I'm not going to apologize. If I've been following the rules and doing good things and going to bed early and waking early and exercising and eating right, I'm not going to say that makes me a bad person, okay? But you get other people that tend to speak a tiny bit of the language. I'm not saying you got to speak. It's great that I can somehow remember and copy tones. Whatever. Hang on a sec. That was Fawn calling, and she saw the microphone, and she immediately apologized, and then said, sorry. And anyways, but what a difference from wife back in the West, huh? Oh, you're doing one of those dumb things again? I don't get any of that crap. I get, what you're doing is important. I'll respect that. I'll talk to you later. Isn't that nice? Anyway, but you get the other stereotype, guys, and I'm not saying you got to speak the language. That's great that I can copy some of the tones and I can remember some of the words. If I was a lot younger, I'd probably end up being, really fluently bilingual, but that's just not going to happen at 61, okay? But enough about that. But the guys that are not showing up completely like they've just come out of a big weekend in Vegas or something. I mean, they make some effort to ask where the bathroom is, or to learn how to do a Y properly, or to bow or be. It's not even doing a Y, just humble posture, and not like if you make these kind of big body gestures, which in Detroit we will do. Here it looks like you want to initiate a Muay Thai match. This is a very gentle and humble culture, and you can't go do. You know what I mean? It's just different. The guys that tend to try to blend in a little bit, just all I'm saying is making a little effort, okay? And then just are able to live their life and conduct their life in some kind of orderly fashion. Wear some kind of normal clothes in the day, bathe, Here you really are supposed to bathe at least twice a day. It's a cultural thing. At least every morning and every night. That's the bare minimum that's expected of you. If you've ever been around a person from another, whatever your home culture is, like in the U.S., we have a certain standard for bathing and cleanliness and grooming, okay? Whatever that is, I'm not going to get into that. This isn't the bath time channel. But there are people from other countries that would come into and visit my home city, Detroit, and we go, whoa, God, that guy reeks, because they have a different standard. They have a different standard on what's acceptable for hygiene. I'm not going to get into who's what, but you know what I mean? And here, we're not on the clean end of that one. You want to? I would advise you to step it up, because what lady's dreaming about dating some smelly guy? So anyway, so the good stereotype, they tend to groom a little bit more to a standard. Facial hair is really not a thing here, as I'm always saying. Generally, the style for hair is short, sort of almost semi-military on the sides. Now, again, if you rock it, there's guys that do ponytails and have the really cool Van Dyke trimmed, and they can really pull that to look really cool, and that's great. That's great. But you just want to check yourself and make sure you're looking cool and not like an idiot. Because 9 out of 10, when I try to look cool, I think I look like an idiot. You know what I mean? You want to watch that. So that's kind of the two stereotypes. And this is kind of interesting too. So from the Thai perspective, it's up to you to then prove that wrong. So to me, on one hand, I don't care what other people think about me. On the other hand, I don't want to walk around and everyone reacting to everything I say like I'm some kind of idiot. Like I was at, where was I just the other day? I can't remember how I was. Anyways, getting kind of some dirty looks from this Thai man, which is really odd. Oh, I was at the gym. He was the Chong fixing the water cooler. I hope the water cooler's fixed today. And he was just kind of looking at me kind of sideways. I was like, he's probably, whatever. And I had a couple interactions with a few of the staff, and I spoke some Thai here and there. And then Fawn called me, and I had a conversation in Thai, and then when next time he was looking my way, I just gave him a little bow and a little tiny wave, and smiled at him, and then by the end he was giving me thumbs up and stuff on my bike as I was pulling away, and I went off to my lunch after my workout. I kind of enjoyed that, break some of that stereotype that we're not all a bunch of wild maniacs here or something. But we're going to be different. When I work out, I'm a grunter. I'm a little bit of a louder working out kind of guy. I'm really into it. I really give everything I have into it. I'm really training hard. And gym culture in the West, here it's different obviously, but in the West it's, hey, if a guy's doing his stuff, leave the guy alone, stay in your lane. And that's what I do, and I expect other people to observe that with me. I'm not doing it Thai style. I'm not gonna talk about a Thai style workout. They don't really like working out a whole lot over here. But so then people might look sideways at me for that, but that I'm not going to care about, because that's my thing, and I got to do my thing, And I'm not trying to be loud. I'm sure I'm not screaming or anything, but you know what I mean. And I got my earbuds in. Sometimes you can't hear yourself. You're like, and you're lifting a weight, It's and it's hard. It's really hard for me at 61 with all my injuries and all my health issues, and to be doing this is what it is, right? That's kind of from the Thai perspective a little bit, but then you get the from the Westerners, what happens, if you come here, the first thing you're going to notice, everybody notices it, is that other Westerners are really unfriendly to you. Like, I have friends back home that are members of various minority groups, and when we go somewhere, and if we're walking, and another guy from the same group is oncoming passing us, I'll notice that they'll nod to each other a little bit. And in Detroit, we'll do a little nod, a little acknowledgement. Hey, I see you. I recognize you as a person. I'm giving you a teeny bit of respect in public. That's like a thing in Detroit, okay? And they'll do that. Not to me, but they'll do it to the other, to the guy I'm with. I had assumed or expected it would be like that here. Why wouldn't we? If I was walking down the street here in Korat and there's another obvious Western guy, he could be a fellow Detroiter for all I know, you think he would say, hey, what's up, man, or something. And they won't do that. They'll avoid you like the plague. And I think there's two big reasons. If it's the majority type of stereotypical guy here, the most guys here, and they're on their bender, they're in their drug use, they're in their third bar girl for the week that they've bar fined out to take home, and they're doing their whole big debauchery thing, which is fine. I don't care. I am not judging. I don't care what somebody does, but if that's what they're doing, a lot of those guys I find, and in the few instances that I've chatted with them a little tiny bit over whatever circumstances, believe me, I don't seek out conversation with too many of those guys. they get pretty sheepish, pretty kind of, to me, I feel like they're kind of embarrassed pretty quickly about their behavior. No one, I don't think, says, well, this is great, I'm so proud of myself. I'm on my 7th beer, it's only 10 a.m., I'm doing great. Nobody really says that, you know. So a lot of the guys that are doing their big, you know, mid-bender thing are quiet. They don't want to talk. They don't want anybody looking at them or, you know, all that. And then you get the guys that are there, they're on their way to a Thai language class or on their way running some errands to buy a bracket for the house or the rental, the nice condo they've rented, or they're buying an accessory for their car or their motorcycle, or they're going to get some physical therapy or, you know, some food or something. They see the other Westerner and they're going to, you know, statistically correctly assume that 90-some% odds that guy's probably some kind of person he doesn't really want to talk to. And so generally foreigners here just ignore each other. And you'll find it to an odd degree, to a really odd degree. I've been in public situations, and it takes a while to get used to because it's awkward at first. Because, again, my home state of Michigan and the metropolitan Detroit area, the northern suburbs where I'm from, it's a relatively friendly area. So we're used to, you know, hey, like a little acknowledgement of some kind and to another person. And that isn't a thing here. This is like, I went to, I'm pretty sure it was Boston, to visit one of my oldest best friend. We've been really close friends for over 50 years. Think about that. He's my oldest friend. I went to visit him out there, and I got a coffee, and I thanked the lady for the coffee. I got my little coffee in my little cup. You know, it was like a little local, you know, gourmet coffee shop of some kind. I go, oh, well, thank you very much for the coffee. And then she's doing other things, and she immediately freezes, and she looks at me, and she's kind of like, she goes, "You're not from around here, are you?" And I go, and I'm like, you know, just Mr. Dumbass in my just own little world. I'm like, no, I'm getting a little bit of sugar or something. I put like a half packet of sugar, and it was a little tart. You know, I remember that. And I'm like, you know, no, I'm not. I'm just visiting my buddy. He's out there, you know. She goes, "This isn't a friendly town. We don't really thank people and stuff like that." She goes, "You should be careful." She said it in a nice way, like trying to help me. It wasn't like a threat, you know. And I said, "Oh, okay, well, hey, thanks. I appreciate that." And I said, "Have a nice day." And I went out with my friend, and my son was with me. It was an awesome trip. And my friend and my son actually are almost kind of closer than I am because they're both smarter than me by a lot. And they were talking about things, quite frankly, I couldn't follow. They were making like references about like Descartes and different philosophical things about stuff, and I'm like, you know, I could follow 20% of the conversation, and I was out. But so it's kind of like that here. That little story. Sorry, but that's kind of like that where it'll be awkward to a point where it'll be to a point where it's awkward, where people just will not be addressing regarding you. It kind of almost feels like they're ignoring you or something. But it's just people are kind of freaked out. People come overseas. It's totally different rules, totally different situation here. And I think it's all got to do with just people coming here and they just go crazy. And I'll tell you, it's not just Westerners. That point was made clear to me when Fawn really insisted that she take me down Walking Street. I had lived here in Thailand for, a couple of years already at this point. I'd never gone down Walking Street, which is, you know, one of the most famous streets of like prostitution. I guess you just got to call it what it is in Thailand. And you could see all the different, like men in groups, you know, you could see like a group of like all like Indian men or all Arab men or all, some guys were obviously British. I could hear them talking, hear their accents, you know, and you see different groups of men by nationality. They're obviously all on some big tour, like a bachelor party or something, whatever they were doing. But you realize how many people, and there's all these other people that I had no idea where they could be from. You know, very different looking people, very different attire, very different manner of bearing and how they conducted themselves that I was not used to seeing. I'd never seen before in my life, honestly. Some people like from like somewhere like remote in Africa or something wearing very African kind of attire. I've never seen someone in real life wear that. And the way they were walking and acting was very different. I'm sure they were right off the plane from somewhere that I'm unfamiliar with. And you'll just see a lot of people from a lot of different places here, and a lot of people let go in a lot of different ways. And I'll tell you on that, if you go to a big public place like that, a big melting meeting area, and it's not a melting pot here, believe me, it's not, but a big meeting area of all these different cultures, be extra careful because some people their standards for what what is worth becoming violent over is drastically lower than what you're used to. There are some people here that that will come and visit, and man, they're really known to be violent. I don't say anything to anybody. I mean, look at me. I mean, I'll before we're done, I'll try to remember to turn the camera on. I'm looking out at a rice field right now. I mean, I live in the middle of nowhere with a 3-meter high pointy fence all around it. I mean, I like my peace and quiet. You know, I thought it was kind of weird that I liked that, and I watched a interview, I think it was, an interview of Brock Lesnar. I'm a little bit of a Brock Lesnar fan. He's a professional fighter. And he's from Minnesota, and he's like a farm boy or something at heart, I think. He's a big guy. He's a really big guy. And he owns he's rich now. He's obviously successful and rich. He bought a giant piece of land somewhere in Minnesota. I guess he put a huge fence around it and a big gate, and he locks it. He goes in there and just lives his life, does his farm chores, does his workouts, and he's by himself the whole time. He says he loves it. And I was like, well, on one hand, that sounds kind of strange. On the other hand, that does sound nice. So I think I'm just more that type of person. But so when people see you here, that's why you're going to get these reactions. And then the foreigners explains the foreigners. You get the guys either on the bender or they're afraid you're one of the guys on the bender. And then ultimately, most of us, I think it's just a certain kind of person that tends to come here. The guys that really come and got to be around 15, 20 people, 5 other people all the time, just like themselves, that type of personality, I think those guys just tend to stay in the tourist areas. They probably almost never watch this content. They would look at this and go, ugh, why would you do that? And they're on their way to the bar. It's 9:30 in the morning. They're late, and that's fine. I think that's clearly most guys here, and that's fine. My friends and I, we all are kind of in this camp. We like this life. We like to explore different coffee shops, hobbies of fitness, walking, photography, dining, fine dining, super fine dining. As you can see, I enjoy the really exceptional bourbons. I've got right there, what is that? I forget the name of it. Oh yeah, the Elijah Craig. How could I forget the Elijah Craig? Oh my gosh, that's a special bottle, a very special one. I know the guy that picked it, and he's really got a great reputation in the city of Detroit. He's like kind of a legend, and I got one of his bottles. I was so happy. I brought it here, and customs has never stopped me, praise God. I feel like I could bring a chainsaw through the airport. Don't do that. And I just opened it last week. Oh my gosh, that was like a sublime experience. I pour about a half a shot, not quite a full shot, and I just sip that for a little bit. Oh gosh, that was so tasty. So I love my good bourbons, but I enjoy my privacy here in that. Now sometimes I'll talk with my son and do this, and I've got a friend I've invited out here in a couple of months. He's going to come over, and I'm sure we'll taste a couple of these, but that's about it. I think I'm going to throw in some bonus content and do some day of the life stuff with this. This is going to be a short subject. It's just the stereotype. It's just that kind of, but I feel that kind of drives a lot of things here. If you can kind of see what I was saying, and then let's go to some bonus content. Thanks.
This first piece of bonus content is just showing me with one of my quiet little private lunches. So if a video of somebody eating food offends you, skip this part, please.
There we go. Having another really nice, quiet afternoon in the city. It's Monday. Great Monday. Beautiful weather. You got to develop some heat tolerance here, which is up to you to develop because no one's going to develop it for you. Sorry to say. And a little extra salt in my diet works for me. You got to find what works for you. This is a great time, same as in college or when you're a young guy, focus on yourself. This is a great time to focus on yourself. Hang on. I'm eating lunch. Pretty good. Could be some rain coming, so I'm gonna get out of here. I was gonna go to Dea's, but I was just there. Great food, one of my favorite restaurants, regular stop for me, and I'm right around the corner. I'm super close. Hate to be this close and not go, but it's just there, and rain probably coming. So I rode through the rain twice last week. Didn't mind it. It's part of the adventure. It's all fine by me. What do I have to do all day? Stop at a coffee shop, wait for the rain, sip a gourmet cappuccino, read a book. No problem for me. But I don't want to necessarily make a hobby out of riding in the rain, so I'm going to head back, kind of feeling a cigar and a bourbon this afternoon maybe. after nap time. Great workout today. It was arm day. Nice pump. Feeling good. Successfully rehabbing. I'm on track. I've got major nerve damage throughout almost my entire body. Left side of my head, always fun. Right arm, left leg. Figure that out. It's all from the spine, obviously, but I've made way more progress than I would have thought. It's amazing how my son said, he goes, Dad, nerves come back. And he told me some story about some guy that had a, what the hell was it? I'm going to say this all backwards, but this guy, true story, in America, I think it was, had a nerve transplanted in his body. And I forget where they moved it from where to where, but whenever he moved his one arm, he involuntarily breathed, or the other way around. They took a diaphragm muscle and transplanted it, or one, I don't know which way. I don't know how the body works all that well, okay? But you get the idea. And he goes, after a while, the nerve relearned where they stuck it. It learned its new location, and he stopped breathing weird when he moved his arm or whatever the heck it was. And it was a shocking story, and it underlined the whole point of his, which is why my son is so brilliant, that the nerves come back. They learn. They can relearn. And regaining the use of the left side of my head, my face and that better. And my right arm is starting to recover. And my left leg is starting. So it's straight up trench warfare. But yeah, I got the rest of my life to do this. Is fine by me. But it takes a certain kind of person to enjoy this, though, is my point. If you're a man overcome and run by your vices, this will be your death. I wouldn't come here. If you've got alcohol problems, a sex addiction, or whatever, I would consider getting therapy before coming here. A lot of people obviously don't. But if you're a disciplined kind of a structured person, man, you'll rock it here. You will just absolutely love it. And this is great for me. Look at this. I've got nobody bothering me. I've got all the time I want to myself. I'm finishing a really good book. Probably do that bourbon and cigar after nap time today and just relax. Started the rock garden in the front of the house. I'll throw some bonus footage in on that. I'm really happy with how it's going so far. Just laying it out, but I'm happy so far. That's it.
Here's the grounds at St. Mary's where I was having my lunch. And this guy was kind enough to watch my motorcycle for me. This is the next morning. I drove Fawn to the temple in our village, and she waited to be picked up for her school function. These are snacks that she ordered for all her students. She's very thoughtful that way. And here is the beginnings of the rock garden in my front yard. You can also see that from the picture-in-picture view I put in earlier with the view out of my house there. This is me with a particularly fine cigar and a bourbon with a friend at a restaurant the other night.
Thank you for watching my YouTube video. If you've watched this far, please consider hitting like and subscribe.